Hey everybody, welcome to Lynn's Arcade. I'm here with the owners of Lynn's and I'm super excited. This is one of my favorite places to play pinball and I'm really stoked to have everybody get a chance to learn about you guys. If we can start off, I'll just get everybody's names.
Matthew.
I'm Nikki.
I'm Carrie.
Woo. And I'm stoked. So how did you guys, Lynn's, so pinball, what was the spark for starting it?
Carrie.
Yeah.
Actually, Lynn.
Lynn?
I guess technically. My father had pinball machines before I grew up, or before I was born. So while I was growing up, we had pinball machines in the garage. And so pinball was a part of our family from the beginning. And then at some point later in the story, he played another integral role. And so we named it after him.
Oh, right on. Sweet. So Lynn's is named after
my father.
Your father.
Lynn
right
Carmichael.
On.
He's a funny guy. He owns games. He lets us steal his games and then we play his games to sticks here. I see him play infrequently, but he has quite a collection, so it's pretty funny.
Being a new arcade, what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced of, because you guys just opened in 2019, right? Mm-hmm. Right before the pandemic. Crazy time to start.
Besides the pandemic.
Yeah, besides, yeah. So you can talk about both if you want. How was it starting this? Like, how did the...
Stressful. I mean, finding a space was tough in this area. And then once we found the space, building it out, and we didn't have the startup capital to have builders come in and do the things that we needed to get done. So we had to kind of do it all ourselves. So there was a few photos of Carrie and I, like right when we got the bar tops going in, and there's a photo of Carrie like leaning against the bar top with the beer in his hand. He just has this washed over look on his face of, oh my God, like we're so tired.
Yeah.
That was probably the biggest hurdle, is just getting it set up and open. And then since then, it's just been growing and with the business and figuring out, moving stuff around and adding and subtracting and kind of figuring out as we go along.
When COVID hit, like you guys had just opened, what were some of did you guys stay open? Did you close? What was some of the things that happened?
We had to close. I mean, that was it was mandatory. But we're really lucky, which is why we started in the first place. I mean, we had a core group of pinball players that were so supportive and so helpful to help us get through everything that we've gone through, opening, having to close, doing all that. So we're really, really lucky that we had these people that were just so interested in pinball and so interested in keeping us a place that they could go. So that's kind of like how we survived most of it.
Because during COVID, what we ended up doing was essentially turning into a moving company. So we were renting games on a monthly basis to families. And so we would have 25 games out per month that Matthew and I were hustling around in the back of a pickup truck 2 at a time, trying to figure out how to move 16 games in a weekend. But that actually got us moving and investing in a van and an escalera, a stair climbing dolly, so that we could safely and not, I guess, put a lot of wear on our body, but also totally be able to move all these games. So we got to be able to do upwards of 10, 12 games in a day without having a whole lot of stress. So that investment was helpful because now we have that ability to move games around all the time, and that helps us keep everything fresh around here. So
when it comes to picking games, what are some of the factors into choosing what games get to be here at the arcade? When do you know to swap out a game or put in a game? Or what's the vibe?
We are looking for like challenging tournament style play games, challenging shots or challenging rule sets, except for when it comes to like the new stuff that's coming out. We're trying to be with the trend and get every game that is coming out from at least Stern and Spooky. So we're trying to like stay on top of that because you got to always have the fresh new stuff. And then we can rotate those out if they don't get played or if they don't really suit our needs. We kind of sold Rush. One of the reasons it just didn't hit with league members. So we moved that on down the line to another local operator who was super psyched to get it. Yeah. But then we started getting into the older stuff too, where if we can find a cool game that we see on Twitch or something in a competition somewhere, we're like, wow, that actually looks really challenging and really fun. We'll try to hunt that one down and get that in here. And then we're going to try to rotate more games through. It's just getting the backstock going. So
Sure.
It has a lot to do with how much people break them.
yeah,
That can determine a game's existence in the
longevity.
arcade.
Yeah. Lebowski has been the one that's made it the longest as much as it broke.
Yeah, that's the one that needs an exorcist.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there like a game? Yeah, like you said, Rush, but like Big Lebowski, I see it all the time. So it's just a game of love, right? To keep
Yeah,
working
that
on it,
and,
making it be here.
That and Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Rick and Morty, for what I think what Eric said it the other day. He's like, "Why don't you just take this thing out of here and like get it like fully working and bring it back?" And we're like, "We do every time, and it's something else breaks on it. Like it's been going good now. Knock on wood."
Yeah,
like,
we just said things out loud.
Yeah,
but
so it was like, but it's been pretty rock solid here for the last few weeks. So just keep us,
Keep those fingers
yeah,
crossed. It's a fun game.
fix it when it breaks. That's pretty much what we do. So.
As we're on the topic of maintenance, like what do you guys have a maintenance schedule, or how do you go about your repairing of games and whatnot?
I try to get games repaired as soon as they break, as fast as I can. So if something goes down on a league night or whatever, I'll try to hit it the next day. But as far as recurring maintenance, Daniel and I are here every Thursday, and it's pretty much every other week we're cleaning and waxing and adjusting and doing what we need to keep them up and clean and looking fly and playing really fast and nice.
Right on.
We have a system too for when the employees are here and something breaks when they're on shift and Matthew's not here or Carrie's not here. I'd say it was me, but I don't do much in the fixing. I'll be like, "Oh, you got a ball stuck? Yeah, I got that." We have a sheet that we can either write it down on, or we have a digital sheet that we can write down what's wrong with the game so that the gentleman who fixed the games can easily see, "Oh, why is this sheet that says I'm down for repairs on the game?"
Yeah, it's a daily thing. I show up, I check first thing I do is open it up and check what's broken.
Yeah. Be like, "Yep,
Yep.
checklist.
Yep.
Today's the day. All right, you got
Yeah.
it. Get
Yep.
these working
Yep.
again." Yeah, I mean, I feel like every time I'm here, there's very few games that are down. So I know that you guys keep a good schedule, because there's some other places I go and some games will be down for quite a while. So your guys' turnaround is really awesome. And I know that your players, the community loves it. How's it been building this pinball community? Do you feel like the sense of pinball community is important for Lynn's? And
It's the heart and
Yes.
soul. It's what made us. It's how we're here. So we started as 4 players playing in Angelina's Pizzeria on 6 pinball machines with kids running all around us. And every week we grew a little bit, and we did very little in the way of marketing ourselves. We just kept getting found. And then ultimately moving to Carbone's Bar in Monterey, and then bouncing from there to my father's warehouse. And in all these different moves, we found different folks that found us and liked what we were doing, which is playing pinball and having fun competitively. But it's a very social, competitive atmosphere. It's not like we're very serious folks. We all hug each other when we show up. I mean, it started as that. And then ultimately we went to my father's warehouse because we got too big and Carbone's didn't allow for youth. And we have a lot of youth that play with us. And to be fair, if a 9-year-old can beat me, they should probably be playing in league with us. So we then had this space that he provided us. And that's when we started to accumulate more and more games. Also, we had the ability to use all of his games that were sitting in the warehouse also. So we were able to use that platform to kind of, I guess, both test our ability to be a public entity, but it grew our community quite significantly. We ended up finding a lot of folks that I still am surprised how people walk in and they're pinball people, they want to play. And so we've grown and grown and grown from that. So ultimately we had too many people showing up at the warehouse. And I think we're just about at the statute of limitations where I can say that it's been 3 years and we survived that experience without anybody getting damaged in any physical way. So it was a great thing that allowed us to then come here with the core group that Nikki was talking about that really helped support us as a business. So we have the public, but we also have a core pinball community for sure.
what do you think is the appeal of pinball? Why do you think it continues after all these years?
Well, it did fall away for a long time, and now like the resurgence is coming back super hard. It's a tangible thing. I think it's the tangible gameplay of pinball as opposed to a digital gameplay, where digital you can learn a pattern and you can get a high score because you know you memorize this pattern on this game. There's no pattern that you can learn on a pinball machine. Every ball is going to be different. And then, whenever you're playing a game, like you're not thinking about anything else. Like you're in that world now, and you're not thinking about the day you had today. You're thinking about the game that you're playing. So you kind of lose yourself in a game, and that's why I think it draws me in more and more. And I think it's what's pulling in more people now too. This is being able to just forget about all the crap that's going on in the world. You just play your game. Like you're just sucked into it now.
Yeah,
so
you just get in, focus, get on that play.
It's brings that generational gap closer together too. So like we definitely had like some grandparents bring their grandchildren in, and they have the memory of doing that, playing pinball when they were younger, and then to bring that to their kids, and then have to be able to share like an actual like gaming thing where it's fun and it's exciting and they're learning and they're remembering. It just sort of brings people together a little bit more that way, which I think is kind of unique about pinball too, since it is an older game.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that hashtag Pinball Therapy.
Yeah.
Don't flip out. That came up a lot when we started Ladies League. So when the ladies started showing up and they started talking to me about playing on Ladies Night, it was just like, I just love coming here and just having my night where I don't have to worry about the family, where I don't have to worry about the job, where I'm not worried about all the things I'm always worried about. And they just come and play pinball and have a really good time. So that was kind of like where that started, that Pinball Therapy.
I like the competitive atmosphere. I think that it's a nice social competitive thing where people can have fun, and you're not really playing against another player. You're all playing the same machine, and you're really playing for yourself to see how far you can get. But it's always more fun to compete, and I think that for me is the thread.
What do you think that sets your guys' arcade apart from other pinball places?
Really great beer.
There is that.
Oh, you're the king.
Yeah, we have a really good beer selection, but then also the free play aspect, and you can play as long as you can stand it. So you can really come in and work on skills and not be frustrated by putting $1 into a game and having it beat you up, and you're like, oh, I gotta put another $1 in. Like you can just stay all day and play as much as you want and play different games. So a lot of players that are really good, they'll go and they'll put $1 into a game and they'll be able to play that one game for 3 hours, just keep getting replays and replays and replays. I'm like, that's great, but we have 37 other ones that you might want to play. That's not just the one, and you can do that with $15. So if you go to another arcade and want to play 37 games, 38 games, it's gonna be $38 right there, just on the first drop.
Yeah.
So here, you can play them all with $15 and then enjoy a really tasty beverage while you're doing it.
And those are really tangible reasons why I think that we're unique. But I think more than that is the atmosphere that we provide when you come in here. Most people often bring that up. All the employees, the owners, whoever is here who's representing Lynn's, usually come with a really awesome attitude.
It's hard not to. You come into this place, you can't frown. It's really difficult to frown when you walk into this place.
So I think that kind of helps bring more people in, wanting them to come back, that just like kind of, I guess, love of the game kind of feel. We love that you're here. Super awesome to have you kind of feel when you come in here.
And so now my other question is, where do you see the future of pinball? Like, how do you see games progressing? Now we have Insider Connect and Scorebit and all these different like QR codes and scans. Where do you see the future of pinball going?
That kind of stuff, like seeing like Keith Elwin come through designing games, and now Jack Danger, his first game was phenomenal. And seeing the young designers coming through, like that's going to be a really cool kind of changing of the guard eventually, where the older guys will move away, and then this new fresh take on pinball is going to come through and start designing games. So I think that's going to be super, super exciting.
I'd like to see more the connectivity side. I like what Insider Connected provides at some basic level for someone to be able to get into tracking their scores and getting that kind of information. But the Scorebit functionality for me goes so much further, and that's something that I would really like to see be the platform, something that can connect all the games so that we can all know, and the score bit can track a lot more information, like how many times you use the left flipper, how many times you use the right flipper. I mean, you could get so much data out of a game with that type of technology. And so I would like to see almost a mixture of the two, where the ease of use and the stern acceptability, but with the breadth of games and that deeper amount of data. That's what I want to be able to get. As an operator here, we would know which games are getting played the most. That'd be helpful. To be able to also provide for other folks those achievements that kind of come along with that gaming atmosphere. Yeah. I think those are great value added pieces for us. And then for the tournament side, we have our scoreboard. So you can get all of that data up from the game to the scoreboard and then create custom type month-long events like what we have going on monthly here and other league events. If all of that data starts to intermingle, it can be really powerful, I think, and add to the value of pinball. Make it so that more people have that excitement when they come in. Different reasons.
And not to be negative about any of it, but I'm kind of old school when it comes to most things. And so I'm a little bit concerned that rule sets are going to get too deep and it's going to turn more video game than pinball machine. That's probably the main concern I have for the future, when things just get a little too complicated and then it's not as that physical fun of pinball. That's probably a concern.
It's a good concern.
Because it doesn't always have to be positive.
Well, no, it's a good concern. And some of these games do get so complex in these newer games that it's hard for a newer player to absorb what is even the goal at a base level. What am I trying to do? Because that will steal certainly a lot of the fun from you if you can't understand and interpret what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I really hope that with like Bond 60 being like a flat, and like the Beatles, how they rethemed Sea Witch. And then like Pulp Fiction is another like single level. It's like go back towards that 80s, late 70s, early 80s style game, but make it modern. I really hope they get more of that going.
Because they've been adding neat features to
really cool stuff.
Like that, even that Sea Witch adaptation included the drop targets. You can get the ball behind it. Right. Something that didn't exist in that game.
You can get a multi-ball in that game.
And then now a multi-ball exists. I mean,
awesome. Taking, like Pabst, like Can Crushers, like taking a game from like the 50s and making it fully modern. Like that's fantastic. Like do more of that kind of stuff. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a Foo Fighters crazy build up all this stuff. It's like, let's take it back to a basic style game, but make it modern and fun and cheaper than.
Okay, now you said the word, because I was actually just going to say all of this sounds great except for the price tag. Right. So the pinball machines at this point have gotten way too expensive. We talk about inflation, pinflation. These things have gotten out of control. We bought a Foo Fighters LE and I've never spent more money. I thought that my Big Lebowski that was game number 14, any of the number 1 serial number game prototypes that I've purchased, the Freedom EM, the Evel Knievel EM, those should be the most expensive games I own, not a brand new game that I just bought that has a false limited value because they made 1,000 of it and it's got green trim. I bought it. But I would love to not spend all that money to have gotten it. And I don't want to have to be able to do that. And we really can't continue to do that. So while we continue to buy all the hot games, the unfortunate future of pinball is expensive. And so if we could still be able to acquire newer games, but not spend all the money, that would be a dream. But I just don't know how it continues because the popularity of pinball, and also there is not just the false sense of rarity from a limited edition painted game, but there are games that, I mean, they only made 4,000 Medieval Madnesses. That's why they remade them, because there was too much demand. But so far, the demand doesn't seem to be getting satiated, so we continue to see an increase in price. So even though we don't have to buy a new Stern, we can buy a Flash Gordon Bally 81, it's now also crept up in price. So even just to get into a solid state has become.
Yeah, definitely price of games. Oh man, yeah. I bought a Deadpool Pro, pretty price, and I look at the price that people bought pinball machines a few years ago, and I was like, wow, I got into pinball in a weird.
I wish
I was in pinball like 4 or 5 years ago, man.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago, you could have had all these games for nothing.
People told me they got a game for $20. I'm like, $20? You got that EM? Like crazy stuff, man. People just like Pinball was in a different place, but
People
as-
made fun of hoarders, right? And make fun of hoarders, but them hoarders got paid.
They got paid. Yeah.
They got the money. Yeah. And I think about you guys have a big community here, kind of pulling back to tournaments and stuff. I want to talk a little about your guys' leagues. You guys have some leagues going on. You want to talk a little bit of detail into those?
Yeah, we have Monterey Flipper Pinball, which is the open league. That's every Monday.
How we began.
That's how we began. 7:30 p.m. We're up to consistently around 40 players every Monday.
Which is crazy for our tiny little community. You look at Los Angeles, you look at San Francisco, you look at San Jose. We have so many people coming out to a single league event here on a Monday night. And we're tiny little Monterey County. We have folks that travel from as far south as San Luis Obispo with some regularity, but extreme regularity from Santa Cruz and Morgan Hill and San Jose.
I know I'm coming in from a place kind of close by Morgan Hill sometimes.
Yeah.
It's about a 45-minute drive, but it's worth it. It's
Yeah.
worth it.
We have ladies league as well. Monterey Flipper Ladies Pinball. Is that what it is? Or pinball?
MFLP.
MFLP.
You can't whisper soft enough for that, Mike.
And that one has been kind of interesting in its growth as well. Started off small, like most of the leagues do, and now we're almost consistently getting like 20 ladies a week on Wednesdays at 7:00 sharp. We do not start late at Ladies League unless you let us know you are running late. But that's been a really awesome experience, getting all these ladies in here in a comfortable situation for them to learn from each other, and they really, really do, and we're very supportive of each other and learning how to play pinball better, getting more comfortable within the competitiveness of pinball and wanting to win and wanting to get better and wanting to learn new skills. So it's been really fun seeing that, and we've had a lot of ladies that are just freaking turning it up.
Yeah.
and it's happening all across the board, and it's that you play. It's more fun to play in a competitive atmosphere, and a lot of it comes from you get to watch others. So I get to watch Matthew and pick up some of what he's doing on this game, or watch Nicole and see what she's doing on the game. Oh, Nikki. We can sometimes watch Nikki and learn, but you can pick up from everyone and you can also start to learn the rule sets that way also. It all becomes more apparent and the value becomes greater for each of the different rules that you might learn in a specific game. So when you're playing competitively, you have an edge and an ability to win. It's a fun thing.
It's fun to see league where it is now too, like watching new players and all of a sudden they're just like doing this and you're like, oh shit.
The learning curve is different now.
Like you gotta play when you show up on Mondays, man. Like there's no like everyone's playing really well and
That's
getting
pinball
better.
therapy,
And
man. We've been.
Well, it's funny because now the learning curve has changed because we have everybody getting so much better at the original level, right? The high competitive level, the folks that are those top 500 players that we have consistently here, they're here now consistently. So everybody that comes in new, they're having to play with and against these individuals. So they have to pick up if they're going to start catching up. But what's funny is they get to learn a lot quicker because those folks, they've been taking their time trying to figure out this pinball craft. Everybody else can jump in and go, oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so it's really ramped up quickly.
Yeah, I know that you guys have your streaming rig.
This is a thing. So that's maybe we should have said that for the technology side of things. That
Right.
actually
launched as
that is a big deal. So Michael Matson, our very own DRI
Yeah,
374.
you got the shirt.
He made this shirt and he does a lot of the fan art that we have. I mean,
He
all of
designed-
what we're wearing
Yeah,
is
he-
derivative of his work.
Yeah.
He built a streaming rig during COVID, which became a thing. People started streaming not just pinball, but arcade, but all these things. Pinball started getting streamed. And so these folks were building rigs. And Michael is super specific with his build out. And so he built a rig and it's high level video and mic. And then he built rig 2, which he intended to be here sometimes. But then we bought it because it was too much fun. And then we started streaming leagues. So now you can watch Monterey Flipper Pinball on Mondays. You can watch Monterey Flipper Ladies Pinball on Wednesdays.
You will now more consistently.
Because
Yeah.
this gal's on it.
it.
The strikes night on Thursdays, which is a different style of competitive play, which was really just a cash-based, you get to take money home, which isn't usually the case here, event, now also has world ranking points. And so that's another event we do, and we'll stream that. Any other tournament that we put on, those are also worth world ranking points. We're going to stream these, and you get to see some interesting players that will travel from the Bay for those big events to play with us. So it's not just a league thing, we have the tournament thing too. And we try to put it out on the World Wide Web live. And it's interesting to see folks interact with that video content. It's been fun.
Yeah, no, I love it when you guys are streaming. You guys do some commentary too. I think that's makes it super fun when you can explain a game too when people are playing. So
yeah, that
you
only
guys bring
happens. That only happens. We only have commentators when I forget to put myself in and the first round. So then you get me for a round because I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Or once you get to like finals.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, finals in there.
Qualifying is like no one wants to be back there commentating. Well, they want to be playing.
Yeah.
So finding a person that's like, do you want to commentate pinball but not play? What are you talking about,
Yeah.
man? I'm gonna play.
Exactly.
So it gets to finals, and then we can have someone back there commentating.
Yeah, no, it's a fun time. I love watching and tuning into the stream. I'm like, oh, I can't be there, but I feel like I'm there.
Yeah.
You know, I get to see you guys and put stuff in the comments, be like, hey, good job, good ball. You know, it's really fun. Yeah, I just love what you guys have here. So thank you guys so freaking much for letting me come in, interview you guys, and super stoked for what's to come with pinball and to see you guys grow, and hopefully maybe more new league members will show up because they'll know about this place in Monterey, Seaside.
Y'all gonna get addicted.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this episode of an interview with Lynn's. I hope you get a chance to check it out. It's super awesome space, lots of pinball, lots of fun. Come join the flip side. I think that's what I'm gonna get, bro.
So I decided I'm gonna switch beers, even though I'm not done with the other one every take. What we need to have is someone else say some words because I just talked for like 5 minutes.
It was your turn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You guys have a good flow going. I feel like I realized I wore my freaking hair tie this whole time.
You're just gonna look like
You
you
can
have
take
like
it
a really cool bracelet.
Cool bracelet it is. Cool. Sweet.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you guys so
Yes.
much. We did it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, you
I'll
guys.
take your mics.
Oh yeah. I got it off all by myself.
You did?